Hello, friends, and welcome to our September 2025 astrological preview. My name is Jenny Sellers, and I'm the creator and founder of True North Empowerment. And it is my pleasure every single month to bring you an update on what the stars and the planets have in line for us this month. Now, September of 2025 is a big month, not the least of which is because we are stepping into eclipse season. We have two eclipses in September, the first one on September 7th, it is a total lunar eclipse in Pisces. And then we have a second eclipse on September 21st, which is a partial solar eclipse in Virgo. This is a big eclipse season because it's the first time the lunar nodes, which are the mathematical points in the sky that dictate where the eclipses occur, have shifted into new signs. And it's the first eclipse cycle where we are experiencing these eclipses along that new axis of Pisces Virgo. So I always tell people that astrology is nothing except for duality. You cannot have one without the other. You cannot have light without the dark. You cannot have the push without the pull. And so Pisces and Virgo sit on opposite sides of the zodiac chart or wheel from one another. And what that means is that for the next year and a half into 2027, the eclipse cycles that happen every 6 months are occurring in or along a brand new axis of Pisces Virgo. We are moving away from the Aries Libra, which I affectionately called last year the me we axis, into Pisces and Virgo, which is kind of like dreams versus reality. And it's not necessarily versus, it's more dreams and turning them into reality. How can we place structures and boundaries and organize our thoughts around our dreams? Organization is a very Virgo trait. And Pisces is all about the things that sit just outside of our reach. And so we're looking at over the next year and a half, how can we really put form and structure around the things that sit just out of reach so that they can come into our physical world. So September is the first kind of kick in the pants around all of that, and that's something to be excited about. Also, the first week of September, from September 1st through like basically the 7th, when that first eclipse occurs in Pisces, September's already jam-packed with something every single day that is encouraging us to make new beginnings. So let's dive in. On the 1st, we have Saturn retrograding back into Pisces. And it has been in Aries now, let's see, since May. And Saturn just left Pisces in May to transit into Aries. It spends about 2.5 years in a given sign before it switches. So every time Saturn switches signs, it's kind of a big deal. We feel it because it's a once in every 2.5 year cycle or change that we experience as it pertains to Saturn's tendencies towards routines, hard work, really kind of making things happen. And it's been in Pisces for the last 2.5 years, shifted into Aries, which is a power sign for Saturn to be in because it is um, in Aries, it's all about actually taking action and doing things. And so we shift from this space of like watery Pisces of not really knowing how to do and how to get done what we need to get done and into this fiery, motivated, intention setting energy. So in May, think back to what was going on. In May, Saturn made that transit into Aries, where it feels a little more comfortable. However, it just recently turned retrograde and it has crossed over back into Pisces. And so this is the final time over the last 2.5 years where Saturn will be in Pisces, which means it's kind of a culminating energy that comes with it. So we're being asked to review the last 2.5 years. What is kind of coming forward as a last breath in whatever it is that has changed for you in the last 2.5 years? Between now, so between September 1st, when Saturn goes back into Pisces, and February 13th, I believe, is when it will transit back into Aries. We have this opportunity to really kind of give something a last ditch effort or to spend some time really discovering what it is that needs to be closed out, wrapped up, tidied up and put in a neat little bow over the last 2.5 years. So just be cautious of that or be aware of that. On the second, Mercury, the planet of communication and information, changes from not Gemini, Leo into Virgo. And this is helpful because Mercury has just recently, within the last couple of weeks, come out of its retrograde cycle. And with it transiting directly into Virgo shortly thereafter, our thoughts and our ideas and our communication get this jolt of energy that is all about kind of restructuring and having a clear mind and a clear focus. However, on the third, we may receive some unexpected news because Mercury, in freshly in Virgo, is going to form a square to Uranus in Gemini. And so there may be, like I said, Uranus is the planet of unexpected changes, of rebellion, of just kind of surprise, shock, awe, all of that. And so with Mercury kind of shifting into Virgo, where we should feel more aligned and more focused and more centered on our communications and information that's coming our way, with that square, which is a tension point to Gemini, to Uranus and Gemini, there's this like potential for unexpected information coming our way. Then on the fourth, Mars in Libra makes a similar challenging aspect to a square in with a square to Jupiter in Cancer. This could have some thing to do with our relationships, our communication around relationships, our need to kind of expand our home lives, our family lives. With Jupiter being in Cancer, it's going to butt up against that 90-degree angle with Mars in Libra. So the planet of action in our relationships, friendships, partnerships, all of that. Then on the 5th, Uranus turns retrograde until February 3rd. So that planet of shock and awe and rebellion kind of takes a receptive stance between September 5th and February 3rd. So some of the surprises and the overwhelm and the upset and some of those things that are synonymous with Uranus will hopefully give us some time to come back to ourselves and really kind of process and be in a space of reception as opposed to action. And from there, we are dumped right straight into that first eclipse that we kind of spoke about at the top of the video. So it's a Pisces full moon, which means expect our emotions to kind of be on full display, expect sleep to kind of either be super, super deep or completely disrupted. Pisces is the sign that connects us between this world and the next. And so we are facing an eclipse that will disrupt or kind of bring to our conscious mind some of what sits beneath in the subconscious. So just be aware that this is happening. Again, this is all about kind of transitioning out of old phases and stepping into new phases. Eclipses are always very strong, powerful forces. They kind of serve as guardrails to kind of keep us aligned with where we should be going and what we should be focusing on. And so if we've been kind of veering off to one side, expect the eclipses in September to kind of bounce you right back to where you should be to kind of realign and refocus. On the 13th, the sun will join Mercury in Virgo. It's shining its bright light on communication, on new ideas, on how to kind of really organize some of that stuff for ourselves, which is great. It will be a great relief come the 13th, especially after eclipse, that first eclipse. And from there, we have a series of oppositions throughout the month that lead us straight into that Virgo partial solar eclipse. So pay attention between the 7th and the 21st about what is kind of happening, what is kind of rising within. And come the 21st, what is the sun really kind of, or what is being eclipsed out of view for you as far as how to kind of bring some of that stuff up, to purge it out and to bring it into the open. It is also a new moon. Now, astrologers kind of vary on their takes on should you set intentions around a solar eclipse, which always coincides with a new moon because the new moon is a time to set intentions. I think it's perfectly fine to set intentions At this time, however, just be aware that it's kind of supercharged. So be very vigilant, which is a very Virgo thing to say about what exactly you're putting your focus, energy, and attention towards. Um, on the 22nd, we have Mars transiting from Libra. So the focus of our motivation goes from relationships into Scorpio, which is all about transformation. So some of what we would have learned over the last several weeks in terms of our relationships, maybe there's some transformation happening come the 22nd. And transformation in general, as it pertains to our whole lives, truly. What is really kind of motivating us for some changeover? Also on the 22nd, the sun transits into Libra, so the sun is shining brightly on relationships as well. So Mars, the planet of action, will have just made its way through Libra and going into Scorpio, which encourages us to transmute everything we've learned and turn it into usable energy. That's that transformation piece. But then the sun's kind of following suit with shining its light on our relationships. And that's not just romantic relationships, that's friendships, partnerships, familial relationships, co working relationships, all different kinds. So that's what we will be focusing on for the next 30 days come the 22nd of September. And other than that, there's a square at the end of the month or towards the end of the month on the 24th between Mars in Scorpio, like we just discussed, as well as it's making that 90-degree angle to Pluto in Aquarius. And so, again, Pluto, a powerful planet of transformation and change, swift and rapid change. So, some of what you could be hoping to change as it pertains to new transformation, new routes, new pathways might kind of hit up against a wall as it pertains to kind of having things happen in a way that feels smooth and steady. So that is our September update. Take extra good care of yourselves. I always like to encourage people to make time during eclipse months or seasons to really schedule some downtime. Put it in your calendar if you have to. Make a an appointment to take care of your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, whatever needs settling for you. Definitely reach out if I can be of help in any way, because eclipse season is a really powerful time where if we just kind of, stick our noses to the grindstone and just kind of force ourselves to power through, sometimes that's even worse for us. So if we have planned some downtime, whether that's just a 5-minute walk outside in the evening as the temperatures drop a little bit, or just simply noticing the way the sun feels on your skin. Maybe it's a Reiki session with me, or cards or astrology readings, whatever will serve you best, massages, yoga, all of the things that you can do to kind of take yourself out of the overwhelm and bring yourself back to center will be very, very valuable during this highly charged month of new beginnings. So, as always, take extra good care, and I will see you on the flip side.